business trip.
These are the people move around.
It does tingle a little bit. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matt with the DPI podcast, and I've got Peter with Princess and the Mouse Disney Travel. We're going to be doing another DPI top 3 tonight, and what we do is we pull a chip. It gives us a category of what we're going to do a top 3 on, and we got 20 seconds to think about it. None of this is predetermined by any means, unless I say it's predetermined. So, all right, so tonight's number is number 14. So let's see what number 14 is going to be on our spreadsheet. It's not that one, it's this one here. Number 14 is... This is a good one. This one's going to make you think. Irrational Fears at Disney parks. You've got 20 seconds.
What does that even mean?
Planning your first trip and getting overwhelmed by all the details? Planning your next trip and just want some new suggestions on things you haven't tried? Contact me at Princess and the Mouse Travel, and I'd love to work with you planning your next trip to the most magical place on earth.
You can contact Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on Facebook at PATM Disney Travel. All right. Peter's a little perplexed by the question this week.
I don't have any irrational fears. I don't have my top 3 irrational fears.
Well, I guess they could be rational fears at the Disney parks.
I don't even know if I have rational fears.
Here, I'll lead off.
All right, you start. I'll come up with some stuff. I've got some things cooking in the old noodle here.
So my number.
Let me put my thinking cap on. This is gonna help.
So my number 3 irrational fear is sinking in a boat, and it's a small world. They've had
a good fear.
They've had some issues with boats and other rides, but just to think about actually being in that water for an extended period of time because the boat sank. And on top of that, I carry a lot of camera equipment with me that on a ride like that's going to be sitting at my feet. And yeah, that's one of those things that I just don't ever want to happen. I don't know that it ever would happen, but I just don't ever want it to happen. So, being in a sinking boat in a small world is my number 3 irrational fear. Peter, what's your number 3?
That is a very good irrational fear. It is. Okay, I am gonna. This is not from me, right? Because I can just talk about irrational fears that some people would have.
Sure.
Okay, so I am gonna go with the whenever you see like maybe somebody who's maybe a baddie, right? Like the Wicked Stepsisters or Cruella or other types of villain type characters. Watching kids who like recoil at, because like some of those people will say things like, oh, you know, basically like threatening physical harm or like they're going to be like snatched up or whatever else, and like watching kids like that's obviously not going to happen. This person is a costumed character. They're not going to get Horace and Jasper to come get your dog. They're not gonna, you know, like the Wicked Sisters are not gonna, you know, like the Evil Queen is not gonna come get you because you're fairer than her. Like that, I don't know. You like see these little interactions and you just almost see like a moment of sheer terror in a kid's eyes, and that's a very irrational fear in my mind. So I did get one of my irrational fears for number 2 and 1. So I'm going to start with that one for number 3 because I have watched my kids personally like almost freak out to where I got to settle them down. Like, it's not real.
The evil queen at Artist Point is a great example of that. I mean,
right.
Yeah, just a perfect villain, and you get some of those at the not so scary parties that are just
Yeah.
perfect villains. So
Kids are just terrified of them, and you're like, that's so irrational. They're in character, but they're super. If you, because I love, my favorite are the villains because I like to sort of like almost side with them and just listen to them be like, oh yeah, you know.
all right, so moving to our number two. First off, if you want to submit a category for our top three, you can do that on our website. Go over to patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com, wixsite.com. Up in the top right corner, it's going to be the planning page. Up in the top right corner, there will be a submission form for questions for the show, for the client question section, and for comments for the top three show. So if you want to have a category for the top three show, you could suggest one, and normally we put them into the rotation right away, so they have a chance of getting pulled relatively quick. So definitely do that. So my number two irrational fear at Disney is getting my hand hit on Space Mountain.
That's not irrational. Put your hand up; it will happen.
I mean, I'm a tall enough guy. I'm 6 foot, and when you see Space Mountain with the lights on, you wonder how they get people through that ride without major injury.
You said major injury because there are some minor injuries.
Yes, there are minor injuries. I'm talking like major, like, you know, severance of hand and, you know, people hitting their heads and that kind of stuff. I think, you know, it is such a tight, compact ride. How much track they've put into that show building is it's spectacular engineering. But the first time I saw it with the lights on, I was like, yeah, those tracks are really, really close together. So yeah, so that's my number two is getting injured on Space Mountain. Peter, where are you going with your number two?
You know, okay, so not a big fear, but I always, whenever I'm on Kilimanjaro Safari, I just kind of watch all the wildlife, especially the open areas where like the giraffes and the zebra, and especially like the rhinos. I just always, as we're driving, you know, and I know, and it's so irrational to even be even remotely thinking about this because the drivers are completely respectful of all the animals. They give them the right of way for everything. So why? But I don't know. Like, what if you just get a pissed off rhino one day? Like, you know, just I'm really sick of this stupid vehicle being right here. And so, like, I don't know. Every once in a while, as I'm like riding Kilimanjaro safaris, I'll just be like, man, I really hope that rhino just keeps eating that stupid straw over there. It doesn't like get pissed off and like horn blazing come after the vehicle. Yeah, because you see like wild safaris where stuff like where the wildlife sort of interacts a bit more than you want, or maybe a friendly giraffe is going to come over and stick his head into the carrot. You know, just little stuff like that. Over interactions with the wildlife, and you know Disney's planned for it, and again they've created this safe environment. But I don't know. Every once in a while, I'm just like, I don't like the fact that giraffe is like one neck length away from me right now. Why don't you go eat the top of a different tree, buckaroo? You know, just little stuff like that on Kilimanjaro Safari. So that is an irrational fear, 100%.
There you go. Let's get to our number ones. And before we get to our number ones, Peter, where can people find you?
Not on Kilimanjaro Safari.
Apparently not.
No, I love that ride. We always ride that ride. It's a great ride. Like I said, irrational fear. So yeah, over on Facebook, Princess and the Mouse Travel is the quickest way to find me. Hit me with a messenger. I'll get back with you, and then once we get through sort of some of the preliminary things, we'll exchange some phone numbers, get a phone call scheduled, or if you are local to the Indianapolis area, I'd be happy to buy you some Starbucks and sit down. But even my local to Indianapolis people normally just set up a Teams meeting or just have a phone call or whatever else. But those are the best ways to find me. Obviously, you can find us. Well, actually, it's on the bottom of the screen right now. if you click on that, go to that website, you can find me there as well. So.
All right. So my number one irrational fear, it kind of goes along the line with the baddies, the villain conversation you were having, but people jumping out at me at theme parks. Now, you don't get it a whole lot at Disney, and you don't get it a whole lot with even like the not so scary, but it's always like, I've always been like cautious around corners and that kind of stuff, just so people don't jump out at me, because I feel like I'm going to punch somebody if somebody does that. So, it's just one of those, you have a lot of people in a small space, and you're trying to be cognizant of kind of your surroundings. And I feel like as soon as I don't pick up on something, somebody's going to jump out and do something. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, that is the one thing in that kind of environment that just, it freaks me out. Because it causes more panic than just with me. It'll cause panic in the people around me and what happens there. So, I guess that is, the oop jump scare, as my daughter would say it. That's the one thing that I kind of am leery of at the parks. And it's, like I said, not just Disney as a park by itself, but just theme parks in general and those crowded situations in general. So, Peter, what is your number one irrational fear?
Note to self for September.
Do not.
Where'd Peter go? You'll find out soon enough. Yeah, Matt punches a character who comes around a corner. Disney Planning Insights is no longer a podcast because Matt has a lifetime ban from Disney properties because he hauled up and punched Gaston. Okay. No one gets clocked in the face like Gaston. Okay, so my number one, this is I don't know, man. To me, this one is real, and I want to call it a rational fear, although I know it's not. When you are riding Big Thunder Mountain Railroad with a small child, the lap bar is for both of you. And if you are even remotely portly, and I'm not a portly individual, but at 6 foot 200, like my little girl, there's a solid 2 feet of clearance between her and the lap bar. So it's not a big deal, but especially the town scene where you sort of like yoink, 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 like my little girl whips all over the place. I just have this irrational fear, and it's the same thing. Like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, when you're like screaming around that turn where like the lake, the rivers of the world are over there towards Tom Sawyer Island.
Uh-huh.
Like you go screaming around that turn, and I just like imagine jettisoning off of that right into the river. Like I have irrational fears about Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Fantastic ride. I won't stop riding the ride. But between my daughter getting jet-packed out like an ejector seat because she's so far away from the restraint system, and me launching into the river. Now, my daughter will be fine if we launch into the river because the lap bar's nowhere near. She'll just get to the surface and swim. But I'll be somewhat trapped in the vehicle. Yeah, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is an irrational fear of mine. I love going on it. It's the wildest ride in the wilderness. It's a great time. But I don't know. When I get to the hot springs at the end, I just sort of like breathe a sigh of relief. Like, my daughter's still next to me, and we didn't jettison into the rivers of the world.
All right, Peter. Well, another great episode of the DPI Top 3. Again, if you guys have any suggestions for top 3 categories for us, go to the website. It's down at the bottom right now, but I'll tell you anyway. It's patm.disneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. And go up in the top right corner and submit your category today. Thanks for joining us, Peter. Hey, thanks for checking us out today. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons to help out the channel. Also, if you're looking for some more Disney content, check this out. I think you're going to like it.